Hello everyone. This presentation we will discuss about Walmart in Africa market and we will detailedly analyze about four questions. The first question is, does Walmart have a sustainable source of competitive advantage? Secondly, how have Walmart attempted to position themselves in the African market? The third question is, do you believe the African market is an attractive option for Walmart? The last question is, what international strategy have Walmart adopted in Africa?
So I will talk about the first questions. Does Walmart have sustainable source of competitive advantage? So firstly, it's for the introduction. Samuel Walton in USA founded Walmart in 1962. For over 50 years, the business now becoming the largest retailers in the world. Walmart tries to help people saving money and with high quality life. The directors give the version that put more efforts on how to get lower costs for everyone in order to show the world how their life would become. As choose Walmart saving your life to be more better. By following the years, Walmart tries to becoming an international brand. In 2010, Walmart considered to start their international business in South Africa, so they emerged Massmart, the second largest retailers in South Africa. The first question is, does Walmart have sustainable source of competitive advantage? Based on results-based view, business has different tangible and intangible resources. These resources turned into capabilities lead Walmart have sustainable source of competitive advantage. First of all, for inimitable capabilities, Walmart focused on cost structure, allows to offer low everyday pricing. It was founded on the principles of passing on the discounts that retailers could manage from the wholesalers to the consumers and making money through the higher volumes achieved. Secondly, the experience accumulated in decades as competitive advantage. Walmart concentrated on development advanced supply chain management strategy to explore and enhance this competitive advantage and assume market leadership position. Thirdly, Walmart has advanced logistics system. They use cross-docking to replenish inventory efficiently, keep inventory and transportation costs down, reduce transportation time, and eliminates inefficiencies. The last one, but not least, Walmart has largest information technology infrastructure, allow Walmart to accurately forecast demand, track and predict inventory levels, create highly efficiently transportation routes, and manage consumer relationship and serve response logistics. Walmart's supply chain management strategy has several sustainable competitive advantages, as mentioned before. This helped Walmart becoming dominant force in competitive global market. And the question two for next question is how Walmart attempt themselves in African market.
Next, we will go through how Walmart positioned themselves in the Africa market. To position themselves in the Africa market, Walmart should decide whether it intends to perform activity differently or to perform different activities by business level strategy analysis. Therefore, we need to know what is business level strategy at first. Business level strategy is an integrated and coordinated set of commitments and actions the firms use to gain competitive advantage by exploiting core competencies in specific products, markets, or industry. Hence, competitive advantage and target markets will definitely be the major dimension of business level strategy. Firstly, we will discuss about target market. There will be two cores within target market, broad and narrow. Broad target market is the market using capabilities to create value for customers on an industrial-wide basis in many customer segments, which means that company may provide different types of products to satisfy different customer segments. Others, narrow target market is the market serving the needs of a narrow customer group, tailoring its strategies to suit that groups at the expense of others, which means that the company will choose small amount of the customer segments and provide the particular types of products to satisfy the customers. Secondly, we will discuss about competitive advantage as well. There are also two cores within competitive advantage, low cost and differentiation. If the company choose low cost as their competitive advantage, they should have low cost than other competitors, which means that they should performing activities differently from the rivals to make lower cost. On the other hand, while the company chooses differentiation as their competitive advantage, it means that the company will have abilities to differentiate and command a price premium that exceeds the extra cost of doing so. Also, the company will intend to perform different activities from their competitors. There are 5 business level strategies: cost leadership strategies, differentiation strategies, focused cost leadership strategies, focused differentiation strategies, and the most special strategies, integrated cost leadership and differentiation strategy.
Let's go back to the case. From the case and case research, it is known that Walmart products are usually priced 20% lower than those of its competitor, and it allows to achieve a large scale and an efficiency supply chain. A unique cost strategy that allows Walmart to attribute the lower price and achieve competitor advantage. It efforts to procure products at the lowest price possible from manufacturer. Walmart in Africa has its own lower cost brand, like Great Value and Everyday Lower Price. After analyzing this case detailedly, African market is a different market from other market, which Walmart already in. It is a very huge market. However, the buying power will be lower because the lower income in Africa. Therefore, Walmart should choose the special business level strategy to position themselves correctly in African market. It is well known that Walmart's mission is to provide a wide variety of high-quality brand and unbranded products at the lowest possible price, and they have a special supply chain management which already discussed above to help them to reduce their costs. It is obviously to attract more customers in African market. Walmart should provide more lower price goods, which means that they should have a lower cost strategy within the African market. Hence, Walmart will choose lower costs as their competitive advantage in African market. Moreover, Walmart is a large retailer company. They intend to provide huge counts of goods to satisfy different customer needs. Therefore, Walmart chose brand market as their target market within African market. To conclude, Walmart will choose lower cost provider strategy in African market, and the basis for competitor advantage is lower overall cost than the rival. There will be some advantage and risks for choosing lower cost leadership as their business level strategy. Lower price can attract more customers to gain greater total profit. However, there is a lower buying power in Africa and more competitor in Africa which may not be able to attract enough new buyers. To sum up briefly, Walmart positioned themselves as a lower cost provider leadership within the African market.
Now I will talk about if African market is an attractive option for Walmart. First, let's do a SWOT analysis. SWOT analyzes some helpful and harmful factors for company's strategy. S of SWOT analysis is the internal strength of Walmart. We provide 5 key points. W is the internal weakness of Walmart. We have 2 points of views. O is external opportunities in Africa. There are 4 points. And T is external threats that the company cannot control. There are also 4 points.
Then I will detailed analyze the advantages and disadvantages of Walmart enter into African market based on the SWOT analysis. The advantages for Walmart entering into African market, as we have introduced before, there are some internal strengths for Walmart itself. Firstly, Walmart has large capital to help it expanding African market. Secondly, Walmart implements low price model that can fit Africa continent's poverty and poor economic condition. Thirdly, it can provide additional choice than other competitors. Fourthly, Walmart has plenty of experience in merchandising due to its long history and global development. Finally, Walmart has relations with international suppliers. There are 4 external opportunities in African markets. Some countries in Africa have stable political environment, such as South Africa and Nigeria, with an elected government. They can offer good potential for growth opportunities. And the disposable incomes of African people are rising. They have more power to buy retail goods. Furthermore, African market is the last major emerging market, and Walmart wants to expand in worldwide, especially enter into emerging market. Moreover, South Africa had a relatively mature organized retail market. It is good for Walmart to cooperate with Massmart due to the mature retail market. Then I will explain the disadvantages. Unlike American culture, Africa has very strong labor unions. However, Walmart discouraged their employees forming into any labor unions, so it can be a weakness for Walmart. And our investigation shows that Walmart lack of knowledge for African market and often use the same management strategy in different countries. There are 3 external threats in African market. The first is African countries traditionally had a culture of very strong labor union, but as I have said before, Walmart discouraged their employee forming into any labor union. The second is there are still some countries in Africa, except South Africa and Nigeria, do not have stable political environment. Unstable political environment may have bad economics of scale. It is unviable for business to set up shop in these countries. The last is even Walmart provides a low price model, but much of the population in Africa lived below the poverty line and might not have good buying potential.
To sum up, even there are some disadvantages, but Walmart still can get profit from Africa, and Walmart is an international company. It is a good way for Walmart to focus on emerging markets to expand its business. So we believe the African market is an attractive option for Walmart.
The last question is related to some international strategies that Walmart adopted in African market. Due to the weakness of economic scale, it's unable to satisfy Walmart profits by focusing on existing market. So expanding international market and develop a strong sector are definitely the path Walmart has to go. Benefits from the international exploration. Walmart could increase market size. In addition, in the case of African market, where owns cheap resources such as labor and raw materials, could also be the local advantage for Walmart. Based on market differentiation, Walmart has to find the best model to entry across geographic boundaries. In theory, there are 6 basic approaches could be used. Initially, while Walmart requires relatively low investment in Africa, high operation costs such as trade barriers, tariffs, and transport would be a huge disadvantage if they choose import or export approach as entry strategy. So the first one is not suitable in African market. Second, the license agreement would force Walmart to have slow control of its asset. Subsidiaries approach could not be used in African market due to the strong forces from local labor union in South Africa. Alliances and joint ventures are difficult to manage, although it succeeds in many countries such as India, Mexico, and Brazil, but it would create a problem of dilution of control in South Africa. The fifth one is franchising. However, Walmart lacks of brand foothold in Africa. The last one, acquisition, is exactly an approach used by Walmart in Africa. Firstly, based on economic and political infrastructure, the last few approaches could not work out. So Walmart tried to cooperate with the local supermarket by acquiring 51% of share in Massmart, a very strong brand in the local market. These shares ensured that Walmart could have control of its assets and resources, and avoid strong forces brought by the trade unions. Meanwhile, Walmart could use an advantage from Massmart directly that Walmart could gain more knowledge of the local market conditions. On the basis of acquisition strategy, Walmart announced to think global and act local as its tactics, which belong to the transnational strategy. It means in some way Walmart act integrating. For instance, the objective of gaining control over local retailers always be the one that Walmart want to achieve in any market. Second, Walmart promised to provide low-cost food in every market. But in spite of such centralized perspectives, Walmart does also adopt each market for the unique characteristics. In Africa, Walmart retains mass management and offers both private label food and local brands in the retail store to increase customer acceptance.
Finally, considering the cultural differences, Walmart used a acquisition strategy as the entry model. Meanwhile, the transnational strategy, which promoting a tactic of think global and act local by keeping a series of centralized management and give some allowances of decentralized management approaches. Thank you for listening, and these are all the concepts of this case analysis.